Zelrina wasn't supposed to touch the human. It was written in every diplomat's handbook, blasted across the station walls in 5 languages, and embedded in her own Neuro protocol chip. Do not touch the humans. But Jake Maddox had that look, grimy overalls, cheeky grin, and arms like wrapped steel cables. And worse, he was leaning against her docking interface, completely ignoring the boundaries like they were optional foreplay. She only meant to snatch her data pad. He reached for the same tool, their fingers brushed, and her Soulmate sensor lit up like it had caught fire in her pants. Literally. The thing was installed right near her hip, and now it was vibrating with so much intensity she nearly dropped to one knee. Jake blinked. Did I just turn something on? Zelrina backed away so fast she slammed into the hull. No. I mean yes. I mean, damn it! The glow wasn't supposed to happen. Not with a human. Not ever. Soulmate sensors were designed for interspecies compatibility, and humans had been coded out of the pool after that embarrassing incident with the Glopians and 3 unintended pregnancies through handshake greetings. She looked down. It was still glowing. Jake, ever the idiot, pointed at her hip. Did I break it? Should I, touch it again? For calibration? Don't you dare! She snapped, clenching her legs. You've compromised diplomatic tech. I've compromised worse. One time I fell into a fusion coil, and my left nipple's been magnetic ever since. He smirked. Want to test it? She groaned. This was not happening. But it was. The scanner data confirmed it. Biological sync. Neurocompatibility. Reproductive alignment. All signs pointed to one horrifying conclusion: the human she touched was her soulmate. Except he was already claimed. Jake Maddox, certified ship mechanic, was officially contracted to Lady Thracia of Clan ZZZZH, a 7-foot war baroness with muscles, tentacles, and a tendency to snap heads before breakfast. She had paid for exclusive breeding rights. Zelrina didn't want him. At least, she told herself she didn't. She stared at the glowing light again. Jake rubbed the back of his neck. So, this is awkward. Are you gonna report me? Or do I owe you dinner? Dinner? I could be exiled. Soulmate pairing with a registered breeder violates 12 accords and one very specific no-cloning clause. He raised an eyebrow. Wait. Did you just call me a breeder? She clamped her mouth shut. Jake leaned in, a dangerous grin spreading. I mean, I've been called worse. But breeder? That's kinda hot. Her cheeks flushed violet. He noticed. Look, lady, I'm just trying to fix a warp coil. You touched me. I didn't ask your mating light to flash like a damn carnival. I didn't mean to touch you. Well, he said with a shrug. Maybe I just have that kind of effect. She hated how her brain processed that. Visuals. Terrible ones. Glowing sensors and mating charts. Zelrina's cultural textbooks hadn't prepared her for men who smelled like burnt oil and laughed when accused of intergalactic seduction. I'll file a formal protest, she muttered, trying to calm the warm buzz on her thigh. I'll demand a reset. Clearly, the sensor glitched. Jake tilted his head. So we're not gonna test it again? Just to make sure? Test? It's not a damn fuel line. He winked. Could be. Might need a little pressure, a little lube. Her sensor pulsed brighter. She almost screamed. Stop talking. He crossed his arms, lips twitching. Can't help it. I'm naturally charming. You're naturally annoying. He grinned. Sensor disagrees. She spun on her heel, storming off toward the station's biotech center, clutching her side like she had a personal emergency. Which she did. A human-shaped, sarcastic, walking violation of everything sacred in her culture. Behind her, Jake called out. If you change your mind, I've got time for a second opinion. Or a third. I'm very thorough. Her hand slammed the emergency door panel. Stupid human. Worse, stupid attractive human. Even worse? She was already wondering what else he might accidentally touch. The sensor wouldn't stop glowing. And her curiosity was beginning to burn brighter than protocol. Zelrina sat stiff as a frozen eel in the central biomatch tribunal, sensor still glowing like it had feelings of its own. 2 hours had passed since the incident. It hadn't dimmed. In fact, after reviewing security footage of Jake bending over to pick up his wrench, it pulsed. A cold voice broke her spiral. "Explain the unauthorized bonding." She lifted her chin. "It was accidental contact." One of the high mating counselors leaned forward. "Accidental? With a human?" She nodded once. "His tool brushed mine." The room fell silent. "I mean, his tool was on the console. My hand was, oh stars, forget it." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Another counselor spoke. "Was there discharge?" She blinked. "Excuse me?" "From the sensor. Emotional or physical stimulation recorded?" Zelrina swallowed. "Yes. On both ends." She regretted those words instantly. The council scribes leaned in, scribbling notes, furiously. "Human subjects don't usually register dual glow events," one muttered. "He must have exceptional polarity." Of course he did. They ordered a pair validation scan, which meant another encounter with the source of her shame and heat. Jake arrived late, wiping his hands on a cloth and smiling like he was about to make a scene. "Well, if it isn't my favorite mistake," he said, eyeing her sensor. "Still glowing? That's persistent. Keep your voice down." "Oh, I can keep lots of things down. My voice not included." A medical bot waved a scanner between them. The glow intensified. Jake leaned toward it. "Yo, does this thing work like mood lighting or oh damn, is it heating up?" The bot chirped. "Pairing confirmed. Cross-species bond strength, 97.8%. A counselor gasped. "Impossible. That's higher than the twin bonding rate of the Uthri." Jake raised a brow. "Guess I'm just naturally compatible. Or unnaturally invasive," Zelrina muttered. He gave her a look. "Hey, I didn't ask to be the forbidden fruit here. You grabbed the apple. You bumped the apple! Baby, I'm the whole tree." Her sensor pulsed again. She silently cursed its traitorous circuits. The council recessed for deliberation. Jake turned to her with an amused grin. "So, what's the punishment for making someone's soulmate alarm go off in public? Community service? Spankings?" She scowled. "You're taking this extremely lightly." "I'm a mechanic," he said, shrugging. "I fix problems. This one just happens to involve heat, touch, and a very persuasive mating score." She ignored the throb in her thigh. "You're bound to Lady Thracia." He smirked. "Not by choice. Ever try telling a 12-tentacle noblewoman you prefer someone with only 4 limbs and a working sense of humor? She'll kill you. Only if she finds out. You're a danger to diplomacy. And you're a walking glow stick with commitment issues." Before she could snap back, a tribunal aide returned. "Lady Thracia has been notified." Zelrina paled. "You sent her a message?" "It's standard protocol." Jake exhaled. "Guess we better run now or die creatively later." Zelrina stood. "No. I'll speak to her. Deny the bond. Even if the censor says otherwise? It's tech. Tech can be hacked. Redirected. Blocked." He looked her up and down. "That why your hips are still lighting up like a pleasure beacon?" Her face flushed purple. "I'm under duress." "Oh? Want me to add more?" She turned sharply. "Don't you have bolts to tighten somewhere else?" Jake grinned. "Depends. You got any loose ones?" She walked away fast enough to risk a shoe malfunction. Behind her, Jake chuckled. "I'm just saying, if we're paired for life, we should at least try a test drive." She didn't look back. But her sensor glowed brighter with every step. Zelrina stood rigid in front of the council again, this time under a mating signal anomaly review, which was fancy bureaucratic language for "we think you faked the glow." She didn't blame them. Cross-species soulmates sync with a human? Sounded like fanfiction written by someone in heat. The council demanded a second verification. Public. Interactive. Jake showed up 5 minutes late with a protein bar in his mouth and no shame in his stance. Ready for round 2? He asked with a smirk. Zelrina's sensor flared on sight. Jake raised an eyebrow. I didn't even touch you this time. That's some psychic level chemistry. She grit her teeth. Control your voice. It has effects. He stepped closer. Oh, really? Like this? He whispered directly into her ear. Nuts, bolts, and body fluids. The sensor surged. A counselor actually gasped. It responded to auditory stimulation. Jake grinned. Lady, everything responds to my voice. Even vending machines. They tried every method to disprove the bond: emotional suppression serum, memory redirection therapy, even putting Jake in a shock collar, which he strangely enjoyed. You're telling me this isn't a mating bond? One counselor asked, watching the glow persist even after 5 failed blockers. I'm telling you, Zelrina hissed. This is a malfunction brought on by pheromonal pollution and prolonged eye contact. Jake nodded. It's the eyebrows. I've got seductive arches. They brought in a decoupling specialist. A 3-headed psychic with glowing nipples and breath like burned rubber. It tried to link with Jake to pull any residual connection away. Within 10 seconds, one of its heads passed out. His thoughts, the other head muttered, are inappropriate. Jake was unfazed. You tried poking around my brain without consent. You get what you get. They tried pairing Zelrina with other aliens. Nothing. No glow. Not even a flicker. Jake got paired with 3 different species in a row. All 3 sensors lit up. This human, a frustrated counselor said, is genetically promiscuous. Jake shrugged. I'm just open-minded. Zelrina turned to him. What the hell is wrong with you? I could ask you the same. You're trying this hard to pretend you don't like me? Feels personal. This isn't about liking. It's about science and scandal and possible interstellar war. Yeah, but do you feel anything when I'm close? He leaned in. Besides rage and a dangerously high temperature in your lower extremities? She froze. The sensor hummed like it agreed. He took a breath. What if it's not broken? What if you actually like me? She stared at him. I don't. Your HFY says otherwise. That's a biological response. So's a crush. They stood too close, again. A hovering bot tried to wedge between them and failed. Jake backed up a step. You ever think the sensor's not the problem? Maybe you're just terrified of what it means. She scoffed. I am not afraid of a dirty, unregistered mechanic who quotes wrench manuals like love poetry. He nodded. Sure. That's why you flinch every time I say anything remotely suggestive. She didn't flinch. Much. Say it, he challenged. Say what? Admit it. You're curious. She hesitated, but her silence said enough. Jake grinned. I knew it. She finally spoke. Fine. I am. Slightly. Mildly. Regrettably curious. Then let's test it. Properly. Her eyes narrowed. Define properly. Private room. No counsel. Just us. One-on-one inspection. You mean mating. I mean experimentation. For science. For diplomatic accuracy. She exhaled. You're insufferable. But I make your sensor sing. She should have slapped him. Instead, she considered the idea. The council could run tests forever, but one thing they couldn't measure was instinct. And every part of her body was glowing in a language she couldn't ignore. The human was a glitch in the system, and she wasn't sure she wanted it fixed anymore. Zelrina pressed her thumb against the biometric door lock, nerves thrumming louder than her sensor. Jake stood inside the private chamber already, arms folded, shirt half unzipped, like he'd misunderstood diplomatic test as code for interstellar foreplay. She entered without a word. The glow activated immediately. Jake looked down at her side. Still on. That's commitment. Shut up. He grinned. You sure you want this? Because once I calibrate your settings, there's no going back. It's not calibration. It's verification. A brief and professional assessment of direct interaction. Oh, I'll interact directly. Jake. Sorry. Proceed. She stepped close, too close. The air between them felt charged, like static before a warp burst. Her body betrayed her again, the damn sensor humming like it was cheering him on. He whispered, You always buzz like that near guys, or am I special? She didn't answer. Their hands met. Just fingers, simple contact, but the glows surged until the walls responded. Blinking lights, soft alarms, even the thermostat clicked. Jake raised a brow. Okay. That's new. You breaking the room or just warming it up? Must be an overcharge. Emotional feedback. He leaned down, breath warm. Or maybe your sensor's just finally honest. I should have shut it off. You can't shut off chemistry. I can shut you off. But you won't. She hated that he was right. The way her pulse synced to his presence was unnatural, and yet irresistible. Jake's tone softened. You ever stop pretending this was just a glitch? Once. Right now. He smiled. Good. Because I like being your accident. She blinked. You do? I mean, I've been assigned to a 6-armed warlord for breeding duty. You think I'm not thrilled someone with just 2 arms and sarcasm is into me? I'm not into you. He tapped her sensor gently. It flared. You're malfunctioning, she whispered. Then let me be your favorite bug in the system. He pulled her close, and to her own surprise, she didn't resist. It wasn't just heat anymore. It was the stupid things he said. The way he smiled like a jackass. The way his laugh made her sensor vibrate. Maybe the device wasn't wrong. Maybe the codes they used to define compatibility weren't built to measure something as chaotic and inconvenient as humanity. She pressed her forehead against his. If anyone finds out. They won't. Unless your censor decides to publish a memoir. That's not funny. A little. She sighed. This changes everything. Jake's voice dropped. Or maybe it just changes you. There was silence, only the hum of suppressed tension. She whispered. So what now? I say we lie. To the council? To everyone. We claim false bonding. Get you cleared. Get me reassigned. She pulled back, confused. You don't want to stay linked? He shrugged. I'll go if you tell me to. But if you want me to stay, if you think maybe, just maybe, we're not a total mistake, I'm game. She looked at him differently then. Past the jokes, past the attitude. There was something real under the grease and bravado. Something flawed but familiar. Maybe that's what the sensor picked up. Not DNA. Not destiny. Just compatibility with chaos. Let them think it was an error, she said slowly. But we'll know the truth. He grinned. You sure you can live with that? She nodded. You're still technically a breeder. Yeah, he said. But now I breed loyalty. She snorted. What? He asked, pretending to be offended. Nothing, she said. Just don't say things like that if you ever want to be taken seriously in bed. Or politics. Oh, I'm very serious in bed. Politically, though? Questionable. They left the chamber together. Her sensor still glowed, but no one questioned it now. It had gone from scandal to anomaly, to classified mystery. The council eventually closed the case with no explanation. Jake was quietly released from his bond to Lady Thracia. The official reason? Incompatibility due to excessive sarcasm. Jake called it a win. Zelrina called it a loophole. Either way, no one tried to reassign him again. The sensor never stopped glowing. But she didn't mind anymore. It wasn't fate. It wasn't destiny. It was a human. And he made her laugh. She could live with that. Maybe even glow for it.